Oh, yes.
Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm very excited to bring you a review for the new Transformers Shattered Glass Commander Class Jetfire. This toy is unsurprisingly a mostly black redeco of the Transformers Siege Jetfire toy, now done up in colors to harken back to the original Shattered Glass Jetfire, who did not actually have his own toy, but was based on a Japanese exclusive Black Classics Jetfire. So now we do actually get an official SG Jetfire, so that's pretty cool. You can see it comes in a very large version of the packaging that's used for all the other Shattered Glass toys so far, complete with a lot of jagged edges around the corners and stuff. You may also notice that I'm doing this before I've done the Goldbug review, and yeah, I am. Sorry, I'm just way more excited about this guy than Goldbug, so we're going to go with him first, and then Goldbug will come afterward. Anyway, if you've seen my reviews before, you know how this goes. We're going to take a look at Jetfire's packaging. We're also going to see the comic that's included with him. I'm not going to show off the whole thing, but just kind of briefly show it off. And then we'll open up the packaging, we'll check out the instructions, and then we'll see Jetfire himself in both vehicle and robot modes. Naturally, I'll be doing some group shots and comparisons today, and then at the end of the video, I'll give my final thoughts. So the first thing, let's go ahead and just check out the comic. Just kind of get this out of the way, because space is kind of limited with this big old box. So this is the special retailer exclusive cover for Shattered Glass issue 5, which is so far the final issue, unless they make more Shattered Glass toys, which, you know, they apparently are, so hopefully the comic continues. So you get this really nice artwork of Jetfire on the front, smashing through some glass. It's got that same, like, treatment of a mostly matte finish with some, you know, shiny bits for the glass. Pulse on the back. And a quick little flip through here. Not very good at doing this angle, but oh, spoilers! Don't look. Cross cells, some stuff. Yeah, I won't get too into it. This one is done by Guido Guidi, so awesome. He is always a favorite artist of mine. All right, now looking at the box itself, like I said, just a really big version of your Shattered Glass packaging. It does have a very large window, which I'm assuming they designed these before they made the switch to, you know, that minimalist plastic approach to their packaging. So you get the Transformers logo in this cool purple to pink gradient. You get the Shattered Glass like logo right here with the Autobot symbol, Jetfire's name, the toy itself, of course. You get a nice bit of close-up artwork of Jetfire. The top's actually pretty open too, which is cool. Go around the side, you can see the fuller artwork of Jetfire. Sporting, well, that's interesting. He's actually got a Decepticon symbol in the artwork. I wonder, do they switch it on the other side? No, they don't. That's a shame. They could have just edited that picture and put an Autobot one, because he is an Autobot for the entire Shattered Glass story, not counting, like, flashback sequences. But he never actually pops up as a Decepticon, so maybe they'll get around to that in any continuation of it. Then here on the back, let's bring this closer. The back, we get renders for the toy. I think they're probably the same renders from the Siege Jetfire, just recolored. So you get the vehicle mode here. You get the standard robot mode with those extra bits and pieces. And then they show him combined with all of his armor, so that's pretty cool. It takes 36 steps to transform, which is surprisingly few for such a big toy. But he's definitely not a slouch. I mean, if you've seen the original Jetfire, you know this is a really quality toy. And probably the best value we've received at the leader price point so far. Skylinks, I think, is a close second. And then Rodimus, I love Rodimus, but I don't think he's $85 worth of toy, and I'll stand by that. All right, we get some flavor text here, and it says, with conflicted loyalties to the Decepticon cause, Jetfire defected, joining the Autobots and their quest for universal conquest. I don't think he was ever a Decepticon, right? I mean, I read the comics already. Maybe they'll reveal that he's a Decepticon later? I don't know. But there is that, and it does at least explain his faction swapping gimmick. And yeah, so that's the packaging. That's everything that comes in it here. So let's go ahead and open this up. Okay, now we get Jetfire's very, very large instructions. So tall I can't even stand them straight up and keep them in frame. So you can see the render of the toy here, Shattered Glass symbol here, Transformers, the name, all that cool stuff. So we open this up. Despite being very big, it's pretty simple, just kind of folds out. This shows you just the robot mode itself. This shows how to attach all of his weapons and extra armor to create like his super robot mode. And then all this is the transformation to his vehicle mode. Continues on back here. Grab it. So you see all that. And you get standard vehicle mode, and this shows you how to combine all of his extra accessories into this kind of backpack looking thing and slap it on top of the vehicle. And then also just how to, take apart and plug in the Fire Blast effects, which I gotta say, these Fire Blast effects for Jetfire are getting really overused at this point. Now, of course, it makes sense for them to be included with this because it is Jetfire, but man, they've been part of Scorponok, and they've been on like the accessory pack and the J Balvintron thing. Like, really overdoing it with this, but I'll give it a pass this time because it's actually meant to go with Jetfire. Alright, now we get to see Jetfire's vehicle mode, and just like his Siege counterpart, this is based off of the character's cartoon appearance under the name Skyfire, and not the F-14 inspired vehicle mode of the original Jetfire toy. There's, of course, a whole history lesson behind that. But you can see the colors on this thing are just absolutely gorgeous, right? He's mostly black plastic with a little bit of purple thrown in, and then any of his like cockpit areas or glass are done in a very nice like neon translucent green. He's got some neon green paint up here. He's got a lot of silver accents like all over the jet body, looking absolutely fantastic. He's got 3 wheels, so he can roll around, and he actually rolls beautifully. Look at that. No dragging. The wheels hold up all his weight. It's great. He's got the little handlebars both here in the front and then 2 here for smaller troops to hang on so he can fly them into combat, which is really neat. He's got his little brain center area right here, which is a reference to the G1 cartoon, and this can actually be removed. And a little bit of like cross-line compatibility, which is something you don't see often between the Prime Wars trilogy and the War for Seibertron trilogy stuff, if I can get this out. Alright, turns out it's easier just to turn this guy upside down and dump it out, so lesson learned. Alright, so here, I can get my camera to focus on it. Here's a little brain engine thing that goes in the cockpit, but once you empty it, it can seat a Titan Master. So here I have Briscoe, who's a Titan Master for the recent Fangry toy from Buzzworthy Bumblebee. And he just sits in there like that, the heel spur thing plugs in, and he fits perfectly. So he can carry troops around. Now, unfortunately, at this point, there are no shattered glass Titan Master figures out there, so you either got to team him up with a Decepticon or regular Autobot, whatever you want to do. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll get a shattered glass Headmaster character. I mean, they were in the comic. The comic had like digital recolors of all the recent Titans Return or Retro Headmaster toys in, SG color, so it could come. And then they'd be the perfect little companion for Jetfire here. Let me see if I can get him out now. There we go. All right, let's put the brain piece back for now. Just kind of slides in there like so, with the thinner end going in front. Close that back up. All right. Then our last little feature is the faction swapping gimmick, which you can actually see here in the vehicle mode. So right here, we have the Decepticon symbol, Autobot symbol, which doesn't show up very well against a black plastic. It's kind of hard to see because it's a very dark purple. But just like the Siege Jetfire, you can flip this panel around to reveal a Decepticon symbol, this time in red, since the Decepticons are the good guys. So you can have him swap factions just like the other toy. So it's very cool. Again, so far in the Shattered Glass comics, he doesn't actually switch over to the Autobots. Like, he becomes kind of neutral to them, but really he's more concerned with Starscream than he is the Autobots or Decepticons. In fact, he kind of hates them both. And now we want to get a good look at the accessories that come with Jetfire. So you get your Fire Blast effects, same ones as the Siege toy, but done up in this really cool blue this time, which is really nice. And they can plug into a lot of places on here because of the hard points, but really they're meant to go on his thrusters right here in the back. So you just put those on like so. Mine are kind of bent up from being in the packaging, which is a trend I'm noticing more and more. It's kind of annoying. I don't like that. All right, so you get the boosters on there, which look good in any form, really. And then we get all the accessories, which actually do come together to form this nice little backpack type thing that you can stick either on this vehicle mode or in the robot mode. To attach it, you got to push his tail fins here down, let them out, and you just plug it into this 5mm port with the cannon handle. So you can have him more heavily armed and looking a bit more combat ready, because by default he doesn't have any sort of firearms or anything on him. So this is kind of the way to get him ready to actually fight something. And now here's our first group shot with the Siege Jetfire toy in his vehicle mode. And you can see they're both very large, very impressive vehicles. They do have a very similar paint layout, though there are some subtle differences. The Shattered Glass toy gets kind of the striping on the edge of his nose cone. The Siege toy actually gets like an entry burn effect here instead of a stripe or anything. He gets like some little dotted lines here that he lacks. In fact, I'd say aside from the nose cone, their paint schemes are pretty much the same, at least in this mode. Of course, we'll get a better look in the robot modes here in a moment. So they do look very cool together. They're a nice contrast, right? Black versus white, red against purple, which is, Autobot colors, Decepticon colors, or, in his universe, those are the Autobot colors. He gets these, really kind of dark, muted, clear blues for the windows. He gets this bright lime green going on. Orange fire and the thrusters, blue fire. Can you see the thrusters from here? There you go. Look at those. So, honestly, they're just a really, really nice, one's kind of like a photo negative of the other. And I think that's great. I think they both look fantastic. If you guys want to see how these two compare without the added accessories, we get a shot here. And I'm also finding there's a little bit more paint on the new Jetfire that's not on this one. Or at least, I guess, well, this is all painted, so I guess more so just variation of the paint. He gets these silver accents here, whereas here they're just left white like the rest of this panel. So pretty cool, nice little subtle difference there too. All right, next I'm going to go ahead and cover the robot mode. It's a pretty involved transformation. If you need to see that, be sure to check out this guy's review, which I'll have linked in the description. I'll have, a little video card for it and all that, if you do need the help. All right, now we get Jetfire's incredibly impressive robot mode. This guy is just kind of one of those larger-than-life toys that are just kind of inspire sheer awe at his scale, his detail. Very much in the same vein as like the HasLab Unicron. Just so big and solid and awesome, you can't help but love him. So this robot mode has all the same features as, the standard version, obviously. It's got a very articulated head, which swivels, looks up and down, and then even has this little panel underneath that can actually come up and down a little bit to help him maybe look down at things, look up at things. It's really neat. It's got those universal shoulders, which are fantastic. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, wrist swivel. His hands do that really, really cool thing where the fingers can open, but then when they close, it brings out this 5mm port for him to better hold weapons, which was a just brilliant bit of engineering there. He has a waist swivel. You can't get much movement out of it because of the backpack. It's got those little skirt flap things that lift up. He has universal hips. Now, they don't ratchet in the outward direction, which is interesting. They do it in the back and forth. He's got a very high thigh swivel, double bending knees, which are awesome. I think they're double bend. Maybe not. I take that back. Single bend knees. He's got the ankle tilt, which is fantastic. No rocking, really. His toes move a little, but that's about it. So very articulated, very, very big character. You can see here's the back view of him with the little tail fins in the back. You can plug the Fire Blast effects on here if you want. You can plug him onto his weapon, whatever, floats your boat there. He's just an awesome, awesome, imposing figure. Also, he's got that faction swap gimmick in robot mode too, right? There's the Autobot symbol. I want to call it Decepticon symbol because it's purple. And there's the red Decepticon symbol there. So you can have him switch factions if you want to. And yeah, he's just, you've seen my review for the Siege one, presumably. You know how I feel about this mold. I think it's probably the best commander class we've received so far. It's the first one too, which normally they get better over time. This guy, I think, is still the best. Not that the other two are slouches, but there's just something about this Jetfire between the scale, the detailing, complexity, the added, accessories, all that. I just love this toy. I really do. And now he looks so good in black and lime green and purple. I don't mind double dipping on this mold. And they had to do something with it, right? It's a big loss to Hasbro and Takara if they only use a mold once. So I think this is a creative use of it. We were always wondering, how would they reuse this? And it's also got me wondering if we're going to have any future Commander-class Shattered Glass toys, and if, they might do a Skylynx, they could do him. They could do, a Shattered Glass Rodimus with the evil goatee and all that, since they kind of dropped the ball with that Rodimus Unicronus from a few years ago. It was like almost Shattered Glass, and they kind of chickened out and threw Decepticon symbols on him. So, a redo with the Rodimus toy would be pretty welcome. He'd look kind of samey to this guy because it'd be just black and purple again. I'd kind of be more interested in the Skylynx toy, but we'll see what they do there. Here's our robot comparison with the Siege Jetfire toy. And again, just two different takes on the same awesome mold, basically photo negatives of each other, and I'm pretty darn happy with it, honestly. I mean, they both look fantastic at what they do. You get the Siege Jetfire in his Macross-inspired colors, and very reminiscent of, your standard Autobot colors. And then you get his evil counterpart, who's done up in basically the inverse of that. Very Decepticon inspired, which, the Shattered Glass Autobots basically look like normal universe Decepticons. So it works out really well. The use of red for the eyes makes him look far more sinister than a Siege counterpart, despite having the exact same face sculpt. Which on one hand is kind of disappointing, because most of the Shattered Glass toys receive some kind of retooling, but I mean, he's fine. He's basically looks how the classics toy-inspired version did. It was just a color inversion. So I'm okay with it. Plus, the toy is just so awesome, I can't be that mad. Yeah, I mean, these two, both stellar in their own right. And I don't really think I have a favorite, right? With like something like Blur, it was pretty easy, because I really didn't like the Studio Series Blur. In this case, I think they're both just equally fantastic. You just got one that looks heroic and one that looks evil, and they're both cool. Now we need to go ahead and armor up Jetfire here. So the way you do that, you take his chest armor, which I've already gone to remove the helmet, but the helmet does store inside of here for safekeeping. Taking that out. Now you want to flip out these panels right here on his chest. And I actually have a bit of a hard time getting these to line up right. I'll show you what I mean in a second. So you got these panels out, and then you get these slots here on the inside of this, and plug in there. They don't line up very well. So what I actually like to do is pull these loose. Well, I guess get one on first. So we'll get one side kind of wedged in there. All right. And then I pull the panels loose so they have more give and they can move around a little bit. And that way you can line up the holes a lot better. And then once you get them both sunk in, like so, just push back in until it pops into place. And there you go. Now his chest panels don't want to go back in. There you go. All right, so there's the chest armor. Very cool, very cool. I'm trying not to bump my camera here. All right, we'll do the mask next. Just take it, plugs into his little forehead crest, like so. Give him his more toy-inspired look with the visor and the faceplate. No antennae, because they can't mimic the toy design too much, get in trouble. And he's got these two little double blaster attachments for his forearms. So you go ahead, plug them into the 5mm ports on the arms here, deck them out, make them look cool, like so. Then we have some attachments for his backpack and his wings. So to flip the pegs out on the wings, I find the easiest thing to do is to bring the wings up a little bit, fold them back down, that'll leave the peg sticking out, and then you just fold it the rest of the way out. Otherwise it's kind of hard to fish out of there. The same thing here. All right, so you get these pegs. Then you use these to attach his smaller missile pieces, these little black things here. Get them on there. Bep. Just like that. Have the ends of the missiles pointing upward. And then the bigger missiles go onto his back. So you take these big guys and use these ports here on the bottom of them and stick them over these little notches on the backpack. Make them stick up pretty far and be noticeable from behind. Nice and straight, there you go. Okay, so now he's armored up. Now you gotta give him weapons. And there's two configurations for this, right? You have two individual rifle things. So you can plug into each hand if you so choose. So just put this here. Put this one here. Kind of flop around a little bit, but they'll go in there. Maybe. Yeah, there you go. No floppy. All right. So you get this, and they look pretty cool as they are. Again, they do tend to wiggle because of that mechanism. It's gear-based and has a little bit of give. Now you can, if you want to, you can take his fire blast effects and attach him to the barrels of his weapons, if you'd like to do that. They do make them kind of long and unwieldy though. So me personally, I like to just put them back right here on his thrusters, make it look like he's flying. It's a good storage spot for him, gets him out of the way, but still looks pretty cool. Like they're actually serving a purpose back there. So that's my preference, personally. Or you can go ahead and remove these two rifles. Work them out of the hands carefully so don't damage the mechanism in there. Kind of wriggle them back and forth. Try not to knock off his arm cannon. All right. You just take these two and flip the handles backwards like this, which this will reveal a new center handle. Put the two halves together, and you have his big double-barreled rifle, which is my preferred weapon for him. I think it looks cooler and handles a little bit better. All right. So now we get our fully decked out robot mode for Jetfire. And he basically gains a bunch of cool points in exchange for the cartoon accuracy. You know, you kind of hide all the details that make him the cartoon Skyfire or Jetfire design. But I think he looks just fantastic. And he's a good blend of the cartoon design and the original Macross inspired design. So I love it. And now, of course, you know we have to get the comparison with the armed up Siege Jetfire. And again, these two are just magnificent figures. I mean, worth every penny. Especially when you consider that this guy actually sold for $80 before they brought up the Commander price point, you know, $5. This one, he's a little harder to price or value because he came with a comic. So, you know, he was like, what, $90 with the comic? So, I don't know what you consider, you know, the added value to that. But they are both really cool, really intimidating looking. They're definitely the heavy hitters of their respective teams, which is ironic because Jetfire's a scientist, right? He's kind of that trope of like the hulking intellectual, kind of like Rhinox. But you can see here that he has plenty of armament to put away any of his foes if he so pleases. So, yeah, I mean, they're both fantastic. Again, colors are mostly the same. You get a little bit more added silver on the Shattered Glass version, whereas he just kind of sticks with the white background. That even extends here to the faceplate, which now has a silver mask over it. Now, interestingly, I think that kind of, with this color scheme and everything, kind of reminds me of G1 Onslaught a bit, with the way his helmet ends up making him look. Also, interestingly, you can see through his visor a lot better because it's more lightly colored than this one. So you can actually make out his red eyes here. I don't know if you guys can pick it up on camera. I'll try to bring him in close. Can you see that? You see his eyes in there? So you can actually see his eyes, which is a big difference because this guy, it's so dark you can barely make anything out. But again, yeah, love both of these. I mean, Jetfire is just such a cool toy. And, you know, just like for the Siege toy, he forms, you know, a centerpiece for your Shattered Glass collection. Of course, Siege had Omega Supreme too, but Jetfire's no slouch either. Interestingly, and I probably pointed this out in the old review, I can't remember, when you attach the armor, it kind of does away with the faction swapping gimmick because they have Autobot symbols printed right here on the outer chest armor, and that doesn't swap. So I guess he only arms up when he works for the Autobots? I don't know. Honestly seems like kind of an oversight on their part. I think they either should have included some kind of swapping panel in the outer armor or just left the faction symbol off entirely. But, oh well. I mean, that was a decision that was made years ago, so can't really harp on it now. And this completes our look at the brand new Transformers Shattered Glass Jetfire. I absolutely love this thing. I think it's a wonderful mold. It's got a great new color scheme. It's one of my favorites in this new Shattered Glass subline. Now, it's kind of cheating, right? It's not the highest effort entry into the subline, All the other toys have featured some kind of new tooling, whether it's a new head, new accessories, especially Megatron. He got a bunch of new stuff. So he doesn't win on effort. He really just wins being based off an already amazing toy, which you may agree or disagree with that. You may say, oh, he's lazy, you know, he's just a recolor. Yeah, he is just a recolor. But, I mean, there's that old saying of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And the Siege Jetfire toy was already perfect, in my opinion, so you can't go wrong with just recoloring it. So, yeah, I'm all for this. He's a really great way to cap off the, first wave of the Shattered Glass line, because we already know that there's another one coming. It's more or less confirmed at this point. Technically, the Starscream hasn't been released here in the U.S. yet, so a lot of us, United States folks will be getting him last, most likely. He was supposed to be number 3, but came last for reasons, I don't know. But still, I see this guy's like the centerpiece of that collection, and I'm really happy I have him. If you didn't get a chance to experience the first Jetfire mold, or first use of this mold, I would definitely pick this guy up so you can experience how awesome it is. Or even if you do have Siege Jetfire, and you just want a really cool toy to go with him, a really nice like jet black version, I fully recommend picking this guy up. I 100% across the board recommend him. The QC is still great. Everything about him is awesome. Of course, that is just my opinion on this toy. So now I want to know what you all think of him. Do you like him as much as I do, or are you not interested for some reason? Either you don't do recolors, or you don't like the fact that he's just a recolor, you don't care about Shattered Glass. Any and all feedback's always welcome in the comments section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss a like. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this very exciting look at the new Transformers Shattered Glass Commander Class Jetfire. And with all that said, I will see you next time.